Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here, welcome back to another reverse 1999 video. Yesterday one of my viewers DM me on my Discord right here. As you guys can see, this is a very interesting video showcasing a video from Bilibili, which we're gonna talk about in this particular video, right? A tier list ranking of all of these characters in version 1.4. Now, fortunately, I can understand Chinese, so this was something that I watched entirely before making this video. This is something that we have to talk about. This is going to be very important for any global players moving forward. Apparently there's a new meta in CN server. Now let's talk about this. Now, what am I talking about? Specifically, what meta am I talking about? Now, this is going to be a tier list, or rather a character chart in terms of the usage rates of the top characters that they're trying to get the SSS rank for a new raid boss content called the mains post or the mains bulletin. Now let me show you guys the picture. This is how it looks like. Alright, so if you guys have not seen this before, this is an exclusive content. Apparently a very hard game mode. One of the end games basically that Reverse 1999 has to offer in version 1.4. It consists of the bosses. Let me show you guys some of the bosses. Alright, so big shout out to Devibull for uploading this. As you can see, this is one of the boss. So this is Marsh of Creation. Alright, very cool boss. I believe we have fought this boss before in the story as well. And then we can see one more right here. So this is going to be Gold in the Cave. This boss is going to be the only boss with minions around. Alright, you can see there's some minions that you can basically try to tackle. So some characters might work well. For example, A9 is going to be very good on this one. And then we have one more boss. So this one is like a boss with, as you can see, a Hydra-like design with 3 heads. Very interesting. Now, as you can see in these particular bosses, there's 3 different designs upcoming in version 1.4. Now, each of them has their own individual elements. So, Darkness of the Abyss is going to be a mineral type boss, Marsh Creation is going to be a beast type, and then Gold in the Cave is going to be the darkness type, right? Or the dark type. So, all of this is like a raid boss content, and you have to try to tackle them to get scores or to get points, right? As you can see, I was browsing through some of the forums and I have noticed, you know, some of these bosses, they do give out a bunch of pretty cool rewards. So if you can reach SSS, you do get some of this extra stuff for sure. It's not really going to be needed, but apparently it's going to be very hard to reach some of the highest scores. So this is going to be probably what some of the global players might want to look forward to or might want to plan accordingly, because if you are a free-to-play player, that's something that you want to also pay attention to, right? Now, why is this important to talk about? Now, there's 2 pages of this. Alright, this is going to be the first page. You can see top 1, top 2, up to top 18 right here at the bottom right. And then if I go to the second page, boom! Alright, notice you can see top 24. Alright, so we have Miss New Babel, last place, Kornblum, top 23, Eternity, Centurion, they are all right here. And I know a lot of global players do invest on Centurion and they do invest on Eternity, which is why I think this is a very important video to talk about. Let me first explain this particular chart so that we have a better idea on why the characters are ranked in a certain way. First things first, so you can see each of these characters has an individual score of out of 10 for each individual bosses. It's going to go from this particular order: Darkness of the Abyss, Marsh Creation, and Gold in the Cave. Alright, from left to right. So how good the characters are. So you have the individual score against each bosses, and then you have the average score at the end. Alright, so that's going to be what is being gauged upon. So there are some characters right here that Global do not have access to yet. This particular boss content do introduce somewhat of a new meta. So what am I talking about? If you guys are not aware, Eternity and Centurion, what makes them really strong right now is of their ability to be able to solo some bosses. If you play Limbo, if you play any of the endgame contents on Global right now, version 1.1, right? So they are very strong right there. They can solo a lot of contents. However, if you observe carefully against any of these bosses, you're no longer using 3 characters, you're using 4 characters. Now, right now, if you're tackling the hard game contents in version 1.1 in Global, right? If you're trying to play Limbo, you use 3 characters, and if one character die, the 4th one come out and replace you. But in this particular one, you can see all 4 characters go all in at once. So that means the system is going to be a little bit different, alright? It doesn't rely on you soloing the bosses anymore. It mostly relies on team synergy as a whole, because this is where you're going to need some important characters to have very important roles to be able to debuff the enemies. So therefore, characters that might be very good right now, for example Centurion, Eternity, that they can solo bosses and stuff, they are not that viable in the mains bulletin. Alright, so that's something to keep in mind. Now let's briefly talk a little bit about some of these characters. Quick disclaimer, this is all going to be dependent on your team. Alright, so all of us will have different cast of characters for sure, so just take all of this with a grain of salt. You can make certain characters work for sure. For example, you can see in this particular list, he did place Lilia at top 18, and then I managed to found in some of these forums, this is going to be from the NGA forum post, you can see there are some players that were able to take advantage of Lilia right here. You can see Lilia Insight 3 level 32 was able to get SSS right here, right? So Lilia 37, 6 and 2 Fairy. So this is a very good team overall. There are plenty of strategies going around, but based on what I can see so far, a lot of screenshots that I've seen while browsing through all of these forums, the two very important characters that you gotta pay attention to are going to be 2 Fairy at rank 3 or Balloon Party. So almost every team will either have 2 Fairy or Balloon Party. So you need to have one healer for sure. One slot needs to be dedicated in that particular slot just to heal. Now if you do not have a healer, there's no way you can beat this content. So if you guys are still debating if you want to pull for Pickles or 2 Fairy, you can see they are both really strong. Alright, so especially Pickles are still one of the top meta right here. Now let's go through from left to right. So Melania is very strong and is being used against all of these bosses. The bosses, actually, she doesn't have any elemental advantage. She's a beast type. Beast type is good against plant type, but you can see this is a mineral type, this is a beast type, this is the dark type, right? So she's mostly used there for Moxie Steel. Alright, so her ability is very unique. The ability to be able to apply that, and also she does a very strong, still one of the better single target damage dealer. So she's very good in that sense. If you guys are not aware, Melania's skill number 1, this particular one, Silent Takedown, she will be able to, steals 1 Moxie from the target. Especially if you have Portray 2, Melania is going to be very strong. She can additionally gains 1 stack of Thief Master. She needs this to be able to consistently apply the Moxie Steel. So Portray 2 Melania makes her a very viable option. Now as for this character right here called 6, this is a support that can apply multiple debuffs and multiple buffs. Very strong, and version 1.4 is catered towards the star element, so it makes a lot of sense, right? And then we have 2 Fairy, the best healer in the game, coming right next in global. So make sure you guys do not miss out. Alright, so you can see 2 Fairy is pretty much a staple in all of these contents. If you have her, your account is going to be quite solid for the foreseeable future. Do highly recommend you guys to get her if you care about the meta, of course. Pickles is also very strong. Now what makes Pickles really strong alongside with regulars as well, their ability to be very flexible. They can slot in any team for another additional damage dealer, and then they also doesn't need a lot of skill points. Alright, with Pickles, you can shuffle the cards around and you don't have to attack every turn, and that makes Pickles a very flexible character, a very viable one at that. And also Pickles buff is very good, 30% damage increase, just insane. You can see Pickles is much more used than Anli right here at the top 9 place that my face cam is blocking, but Anli is still really good regardless, right? The Black Dwarf at the 5th place, you can see she's a very strong contender for the second boss, in this case this particular one, the Marsh Creation. Necrologist, okay, what makes Necrologist really good? A Necrologist can apply a very unique buff right here on the ultimate skill. As you can see, inflicts 1 stack of prayer and damage dealt plus 30%. Alright, if the target has prayer, HP plus the caster's attack, so they are able to heal, and prayer makes sure that the allies doesn't die from taking lethal damage. This is very cool, prevents your allies from dying. So on Insight 1, she is able to have this particular prayer status when she enters the battle. She's a very good supporter overall, doesn't have to do a lot of damage. She's just there to apply all of these buffs to your allies. Hopefully you're able to meet the DPS check. Now alongside with that 37, very strong contender, Star type Voyager as well. So Star type do have the advantage alongside with regulars right here. We also have Charlie. A Knight is going to be a little bit difficult. As you can see, A Knight doesn't do well on a lot of bosses except for the third one. In this case, it's going to be the Gold in the Cave. Like I've mentioned, Gold in the Cave, this one has minions, so A Knight shines right there. But against the other two, doesn't shine as much, especially you can see get 6 points and 7.5 points. Now Balloon Party is very decent, alright, so she's going to be the second most used healer outside of 2 Fairy. In fact, these are the only 2 healers right here. Sotobi is rank one of the last one. Apparently she's not used as much. Alongside with Changeling, they don't really shine in particular in version 1.4 because they are more centered around Genesis damage where they stack a bunch of DOT, but the boss requires you to burst them down per se. So that's going to be a little bit of a different mechanics. So Shamani at top 15, we have Medicine Pocket. Okay, I forgot about Medicine Pocket. He is also one of the better healers for sure if you're using to heal, but 2 Fairy and Balloon Party is still going to be the go-to for most players because of their ability to apply a bunch of debuffs. Soneto surprisingly still at top 17, and then we have Lilia at top 18. She's probably one of the least used star types now. And then let's look at the second half of the page. Now you can see with Sotobi, Druvis the third, and then we have Centurion, Eternity, Cornblum, and Miss New Babel. So these are the least used characters. Now again, I just want to reiterate that just because these characters are not being used in this particular mains bulletin content or the raid boss content doesn't mean that they are bad, alright? So they can still be used elsewhere, but definitely this raid boss mechanic is going to introduce some sort of a new meta, with it being revolved around 4 party members as opposed to 3 party members. So therefore, some characters, especially characters that can give buffs, are going to shine even more, because before this, if you give like 30% buff, you're buffing yourself and 2 more other units. Now you're buffing yourself and 3 more other units. So Pickles and Enly, Necrologist, those characters are going to shine slightly on top. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this particular tier list that you guys are seeing right now in terms of the top used characters for the new mains post. Do you guys have any of these characters built? Are you guys ready? As always, I'll have all the relevant links in the description below. Make sure you guys check right there. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Give this video a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.